Hi folks, HR Funk here. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that many times I enjoy shooting historic firearms. In fact, there are some times that I enjoy shooting historic firearms more than I enjoy shooting the newest, latest, and greatest offerings out there. Truthfully, there are some times that I find the newest, latest, and greatest offerings to be kind of boring, and I prefer shooting the historic firearms and the cartridges that feed them, especially if those cartridges and firearms have an intriguing history. And one handgun cartridge combination that definitely fits that description is the 1911 pistol chambered for the .38 Super cartridge. This is a combination that goes back to the late 1920s, and it's one that I discovered a few years ago and I very much enjoy shooting. But in recent times, due to various factors, the ammunition for the .38 Super cartridge has been difficult to find, and if you do happen to find it, it's expensive. And the same thing goes with hand loading components. They're scarce, and if you do find the components, they are not cheap. So consequently, I've not been shooting this handgun as much as I would like to. Which is why when I stopped by Hot Munitions yesterday and found out they are now loading .38 Super ammunition, I was pretty excited. In fact, they're loading two different versions of a .38 Super cartridge. One of them features a 115 grain jacketed hollow point, and the other features a 124 grain jacketed hollow point. So I brought a couple boxes of that ammunition home with me to try out at the range, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing that ammunition and showing you the type of performance I was able to get when I was out on the range with this handgun and that ammunition. So before I get to the range performance, I wanted to give everyone a close-up look at these cartridges. This is the 115 grain load, and if I can focus my camera there, it'll give you a better look. It is a jacketed hollow point, as you see there. And for anyone not familiar with the .38 Super cartridges, these have the same nominal bullet diameter as a 9mm, but the cartridge case is different dimensionally, so these are not interchangeable with a 9mm. And also, just for everyone's knowledge, I'm no longer, apparently based on YouTube's rules, allowed to show the House of Pain website in my videos anymore, nor can I mention my discount code there. However, if you do a search for House of Pain, you'll come across their website, and also in the comment section of this video you will also see that discount code for my viewers. So I think I can still get away with doing and saying that. Also, House of Pain right now is running a great manager special. If you check out the website or give them a call, they can tell you all about that. Also, for those of you who are interested in ballistics, you can see here the 124 grain load from House of Pain has a rated muzzle velocity of 1,300 feet per second for an energy rating of 465 foot-pounds at the muzzle. The 115 grain load has a rated muzzle velocity of 1,400 feet per second and an energy of 500 foot-pounds. So when we get to the range footage, we'll see just how close we come to those rated velocity and energy standards. So my first order of business when I got to the range was to set up everything at the bench and try a 30-foot accuracy test. And since I have 10 round magazines, I shot 10 round groups. I started out with the 115 grain ammunition and shot a 10 round group from that distance of 30 feet with that load. Then I moved over to the 124 grain cartridge and used that for its own 10 shot group. And here's how they looked. And here are the targets from that 10-yard accuracy test. And I've got to say, for 10-shot groups, I thought these were extremely impressive. The 115 grain load fired a 10-shot group that measures 1.5 inches center to center. And were it not for this one shot that I'm sure was my fault, it would have been an even tighter group. In fact, there are 6 of the 10 shots forming one large hole right there that measures about 1/2 inch center to center. So I was extremely happy with this accuracy performance. And I have to say, this particular 1911 has never been the most accurate one in my collection. And when I was driving out to the range, I was even thinking, I wish I had something a little bit more accurate to shoot this ammunition out of to make sure I'm giving it a fair shake. But with results like that, I'm extremely happy. And moving over to the 124 grain load, it has an even tighter 10-shot group from that distance of 10 yards. This 10-shot group measures 1 3/8 inches center to center. Again, I've got one shot that I pulled a little outside the main group there. Otherwise, it would have been tighter also. But I'm not complaining about this accuracy. This is very good accuracy from this handgun. And it's what I've come to expect with House of Pain ammunition. It seems like every time I test their ammunition, I'm very impressed by the accuracy. So now it's time to move on and take a look at the velocity results. So I had to get the chronograph set up, and now I'll tell you all about that part of the test. So when I saw the energy and velocity ratings on the packaging for these loads from House of Pain, I was a little skeptical. I thought maybe that's sort of optimistic when they come to estimating how their ammunition is going to perform. But I went ahead and loaded up the ammunition in this pistol again, so it's going to be 5-inch ballistics from this 1911 barrel. And I set up the chronograph at a distance of 5 feet, and I fired 5 rounds of both the 115 grain ammunition and the 124 grain ammunition. And here's how the velocity results went. So I don't know if it was apparent from watching the video footage, folks, but the 38 Super House of Pain ammunition actually exceeded the rated velocity and energy on the packaging by quite a bit. The 115 grain load was rated for 1,400 feet per second, and it actually had an average for 5 shots fired out of this pistol of 1,483 feet per second. So it exceeded the rating by 83 feet per second for an energy rating of 561 foot-pounds. The 124 grain load had a rated velocity of 1,300 feet per second, and it actually achieved a velocity of 1,386 feet per second. So both loads were surpassing the rated velocity by over 80 feet per second. The rating for energy on the 124 grain load was 529 foot-pounds. So that's extremely impressive. Those are not too far behind 357 Magnum ballistics. But I've also heard people say over the years that the 38 Super cartridge really is not much more than a 9mm plus P or plus P plus. So I decided to put that to the test. To try to make sure that I was conducting an apples to apples comparison, I took my P35 high power, which has a 5-inch barrel, just like the 1911 pistol, and I had some older plus P plus 115 grain Federal BP LE ammunition. It was actually my duty load from back in the mid-90s. And I decided to fire it. Now, for anyone that remembers that load from back in the 1990s, it was considered one of the hottest, if not the hottest, 115 grain 9mm load that could be purchased at that time. So I was curious to see just how close this was going to come to the House of Pain Munitions 38 Super 115 grain load. And here's how the 115 grain load out of the P35 high power fared when it came to velocity. So wow, the Federal BPLE 115 grain plus P plus out of the 5-inch P35 high power had an average velocity of 1,285 feet per second, 1,285 feet per second. That's almost 200 feet per second, precisely it's 198 feet per second, slower than the 115 grain House of Pain 38 Super load. So I think it's safe to say that the 38 Super is much more than a plus P, or in this case, a plus P plus 9mm. But how about the 124 grain load? How's it fare? I don't have a lot of plus P 124 grain loads laying around, but I did manage to scrounge up 3 124 grain plus P Winchester Rangers. So I won't have 5 shots when I show you this next range footage. I only had 3, but I was able to get an average velocity, and here's how the shooting portion went. So those 3 rounds of 124 grain Winchester Ranger plus P ammunition had an average velocity of 1,239 feet per second, which is 147 feet per second slower than the 124 grain 38 Super House of Pain load. So again, I hope we have now dispelled that myth that 38 Super ammunition is about the same as plus P 9mm. It actually, with good loads, exceeds the capability of the 9mm cartridge considerably. So folks, it seemed like the only thing left to find out was whether or not the House of Pain 38 Super ammunition was a 20-foot tack driver. And since I had 2 different loads, the 115 grain load and the 124 grain load, I decided to find out if each one of them was a tack driver. So I set up 2 tacks in the target, backed off to a distance of 20 feet, loaded 3 rounds of the 115 grain load to begin with, and here's how the 115 grain load fared in the tack test. A little bit low on the first one. Got to bring it up just a touch. I think I put 2 of them through the same hole. Well, just a little bit more. No, not with the 115 grain. Let's give the 124 grain load a try. So maybe not a tack driver, but that's 3 rounds offhand from 20 feet into a group that measures 5/8 of an inch center to center. So still not too bad from that distance. But now it was time to give the 124 grain load a crack at the tack and see how it could do. Yes, on the first shot, the 124 grain load is a 20-foot tack driver. So yes, The 124 grain load, and you probably can't see it there, from that distance of 20 feet was a Tack driver. So I don't think I could ask much more of that ammunition than I did in this test, and I was very happy with the way it performed all the way through. So there you go, folks. That's my test and evaluation of the 38 Super as produced by House of Pain Munitions. And I can tell you, I'm going to be picking up some more of that stuff. And that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it'll save you 5% off your purchase from Optics Planet. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.